So my friend Dangerous562 requested me to do this game, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is based off a movie, which is based off a book of the same name. Now, considering that the company who developed this game, Psygnosis, later on went to do games like Roll Cage, Microcosm, Crash. The company has had heavy history aside from Wipeout, which was a massive hit for the company. Anyway, in the game you play as the main hero from the game, and the game gives you no indication on storyline. It feels like it was just, just a tie-in for the movie that would come out. You go from point A to point B, killing monsters, and every stage has at least 2 parts, usually more. First part is, like you saw beforehand, basically you gotta go and find an old man. He'll tell you he's got a weapon that is hidden in this level. You go find it, then you move on to exit. Well, you can find the weapon if you want. It's up to you, but you will want these weapons for some of the bosses later on in the game. But the sword itself is absolutely necessary. You cannot beat this game. In theory, you cannot beat this game without the big blade. That tiny little dagger ain't gonna do nothing. Then you're just gonna get killed again and again and again. And we move on to my first issue of the game. Is that the bosses, for the most part, are piss easy. The patterns, there's only like one pattern for it. The second one, or they have like 1 or 2 sweet spots in there that are easily figured out, and so you pretty much send the weak spot, you slash them as legs or as face or whatever, and you move on to the next fight. Like early on, starting out, you're not even gonna really need, like the shotgun, the stakes, but some of the later bosses, you are definitely gonna need these weapons, and the sweet spots are really cryptic on how you find them, and they're gonna cost you a fair number of lives. Now, to tell you the truth, I personally would not have the mental capability to do this on 3 hearts and 5 lives. I'll be straight out and blunt with you. So, what we're about to come up on is so the traps are in the game. And what you're going to want to do, again, the bosses, you're going to try to find a sweet spot. Now, the problem with these traps is that these are close proximity mines. Close proximity traps. Like you see there. You get close to it, you got see it pop out of the ground, and it's gonna be easy enough. Now, I didn't realize until then that anything that you already interacted with, it's already done for you. It already gives you all the weapons that you had before you died. And so you gotta just move on to the next thing. Now, it takes a little while to find the sweet spot on these traps, because the controls in the game are really, they feel really loose. And later on, you're gonna find out that there are not just one solution to the level. There's multiple ones. There's usually a second pathway. You won't find it on the first couple of times you try to level out. There's another pathway you go to. And then I just died there. Now in my klutziness, I find that there's a second pathway I didn't know before. This usually cuts out all the really hard parts and you can just sail on through. Now, there's enough checkpoints in these levels that usually if you get to one, you don't have to repeat the same stretch of the game again and again and again. So, now we're going to move on to graphics. Sony Image soft games always have a tendency to be more graphical than focusing on gameplay. Graphics are fairly well done. They feel very authentic to the time period, and some of the bosses are pretty dang cool. Like this big frickin' dragon. And too bad they're easily taken down and blow up into a million frickin' pieces. The music in the game feels like, you know, like a Spawn kind of vibe to it, if you get what I mean. If you've ever played the Spawn games, then you'll get how I feel. Now, game itself, it plays okay. Like, it's not horrible, but it really does feel about as cheap as, I don't know, $2 or $3 blowjob. It feels very hemmed in, just for the fans. The books and that. And, like, it's not a bad game in general. Like, the controls could have used some work, and considering this came out came out a year after the movie came out, this is really pretty inexcusable. You had 2 years really to work on it, and the bosses are just way too easy. Like, it looks good, it sounds good, it just doesn't play as good as aforementioned. Overall, Bram Stoker's Dracula is not as bad as my friend Dangerous562 is making it out to be. Sure, it has its faults, but most games have their own faults, like being too hard, or the controls will really slip, well, not as tight as it can be, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if this was like $5 or $10, then you get what you pay for, and what you pay for is an okay game. It's not something you're gonna take back with you as a piece of trash or something great, but you gotta take it back and it's like, yeah, that was okay. Okay, it wasn't as blockbusting as the movie was, but for what it is, it's a decent enough game. Overall, I would give Bram Stoker's Dracula a 6 out of 10. I could only recommend this to people who are fans of the movie, or just if you've already burnt out your copy of Super Castlevania 4 and Castlevania Dracula X or Rondo Blood. Like, if you've already played through all the Castlevania games, then this is an okay game. I wouldn't recommend it too much.